Hello and welcome to Imola Circuit. Here in Italy, we're going to have our championship race for both the Silver Series and Gold Series today. IIL, Tal Series, IL aka Esports. I got Nick with me today up in the booth. Nick, how's it going, man?
Pretty good. I'm excited to be here and see some excellent championship racing today for this Super Formula series we have on our hands.
Be a good one as qualifying is now already underway. Trying to jump on board with, got Asaf here, the white 482. Look at him get his tires up to temp.
Yeah, getting his tires up to it. You always want those hot tires for qualifying. Absolutely 100% as Imola is one of these circuits where there's a lot of these fast straights that you can really just go pedal to the metal and full send it down, minus a few chicanes. But there's also a lot of technical portions of this track that is really going to test these drivers' ability to use that brake pedal, see if they're able to trail brake, and see how the exits out of these corners are. Because as you can see on screen now with Asaf there, when you get into those S-like portions, the smoother you can get through them, the faster you will be coming out of the other side of them. So it's extremely important that you are a light foot on the brake, but not too light to where you're carrying too much speed through.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the biggest things that we saw in practice, matter of fact, was just these drivers maybe pushing a bit too hard, try and get some lap time, some temperature under the seat. Gonna be really aggressive racing today. Only one 40-minute race for each series. So that's gonna be something to watch. Also, pretty much Iran and Dima today are we're gonna be all eyes on them too, as if Iran finishes in the top three, he will take home our championship. However, if Dima finishes first, gets fastest lap, and Iran, excuse me, finishes outside of the top three, Dima can steal away this championship. Matter of fact, Dima was fastest in practice. Gonna be something to watch here in this quick kind of sprint 40-minute race at Imola.
Yeah, I mean, essentially when you have a 40-minute race, it's all out. There's no holds barred almost to try to get as much speed into these cars as possible to hold on to first come that checkered flag. And it's really going to be between these two racers of
Ooh,
Aaron and Dima. 176 points is what Aaron's sitting on right now, and Dima's sitting on 171. So it's we have quite the interesting little setup for a potential, first place for either one of these. So a quick little rundown of how that will go is, so if Aaron finishes in the top three, first, second, or third, outright, they win the championship. None of that, nothing else matters. But if Dima finishes first and gets the fastest lap, and Aaron finishes outside of the top three, Dima has an opportunity to win the championship depending on exactly where Aaron finishes. So we'll have to keep an eye on these two racers specifically as the day goes on to see where they stand and what that championship will look like once that checkered flag drops.
appreciate you breaking that down for us, Nick. This is going to be, well, first of all, I just, again, like to really appreciate Tal, IIL, and the IL aka Esports and Karting for, first of all, coming on board and bringing me aboard for this whole season. It's been really fun to watch the starts of these races. If you haven't seen, you can go back. They're posted underneath the live videos in the Stam Studio Network, and you can just skip to the kind of just the starts and ends. I'd love for you to stick around, watch the whole thing, but these starts are really, really key, as we've seen. Not going to see it today, but the double heat race format where the top 10 drivers get inverted, that was so fun to watch throughout the season, as you could see the faster guys work their way up on just even the start of the race. So Dima here trying to get at least a lap in. Asaf gonna throw a 136 down. Iran right there gonna finish or second at the
Ooh,
moment at 136.3.
went a little wide on that turn, so they're not wanting to keep that one. They're going to try to reset that as it's vitally important, especially on these qualifying laps. There's less than 5 minutes remaining. We're sitting at about 4.5 minutes left in qualifying, that you lay down the absolute most perfect lap you can to get the best possible, start to the race that you can. As we've seen it here, as last time I was in the booth with you, Sean, we were, I believe it was Fuji, and those starts got a little spicy with how many crashes there were in those first couple of corners. So very much one that we'll have to keep an eye on and make sure that whoever's really in that first, second, third slot, as long as they can shoot ahead of the pack and kind of stay ahead, there won't be too many issues. But when you drop back into where that the middle of that pack will be, you might get caught up in some shenanigans that you did not want to get caught up in. So laying down that best lap is really going to help out in those types of scenarios.
For sure, you saw that 2 20-minute heats. I hadn't been updated. This is again just the 1 40-minute race each to determine who is going to take home our championship today. Got Silver Series coming first. Look at Door here, 18. Pretty vibrant paint scheme. That Super Formula Light. Really pushing it through the corners, trying to get his qualifying lap completed. Wow, super aggressive.
Good exit on that one too, making sure that they don't slide too far over, but still carrying a decent speed for that exit. Uh, Took a little bit of a too much curb there, I would think. Every time you hit one of those large curbs, you do lose a significant amount of speed. So you definitely want to try to avoid that as much as possible. But no, they have a pretty good line coming out of these corners. That was a beautiful way to take that U there, chaining those corners together absolutely beautifully to carry as much speed through.
Coming back to the line now. See what lap time he puts down.
That might have been his out lap.
Yeah, either
If it's not
outlap or
popping.
didn't count because he went off track somewhere. So he
It
has
could have
time to get
been
one more
on
lap
the
in.
exit.
Ooh, ooh, hard impact there, Nick. Ouch.
Little bit too much gas is what I'm thinking, because you can see it was going good and then it cut as he was turning. Just yeah,
On
too
exit.
early on the gas
Yeah,
on the exit. Yeah.
that was good call there. Wow, that was on board as we were riding with Dor for his qualifying lap. So far, we only have 3 different drivers to put down a lap, and we only have a minute and a half left to go in quali. So watch out. We only have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 drivers registered in our silver split today. Imagine we're going to see a full field for our gold series a little bit later on today. Make sure you stick on around for that. One more minute, and I'm not seeing anybody on track. So we take a look at our drone cam. Nice aerial footage. We're talking about this pre-race. Nice, they call that soccer field there below. It's interesting. It's in the
Because it's
middle of
funny,
the
we
track.
were talking about that before, when we were taking a look at this drone footage of where what is that, a football field, soccer field, what is that? And I was like, well, it's Italy, so technically calling it a football field would be correct, but being the Americans that we are, it wouldn't have the same feel, because when we say football, we mean American football, and it's not quite that kind of football. A little bit less contact, a little bit less on the concussions for them out there.
Yeah, true that. Reffing with some colored cards as well. So, some slight differences between the two as we continue to get some nice aerial footage. I just wonder if that's for like a school that's in the middle of the track, or just because you kind of
I
saw
would hope that
the.
people are living there.
Uh,
I
God,
would
that
want to
would.
live there. That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Wow, that would be quite the community to live in. You take your car out there pretty much whenever. That looks pretty neat. Is now we have qualifying officially over. 3 drivers, Asaf, Iran, and Gabriel. Dima's going to be starting P5. Watch him on the start. Take a look at our starting grid there. There's our top three, and then Eric Lapter as Dima, excuse me, and then Tomer Amnon starting seventh, Door P8, and then our newest driver of the series, Mini, there starting P9.
Gonna be a small race to start us off. Not too many drivers, but that also means there's less likelihood for some start shenanigans like I was talking about earlier, where you can see them kind of crash into each other. So it'll be a nice, hopefully, knock on wood wherever you are, clean start to this race as all the racers are lined up right now, just waiting for that green light to drop for them.
Dima, they're 3 rows back in that purple car. Keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on Iran, the purple number 8, starting up right beside our pole sitter Asaf. This is what the championship has come down to throughout the whole season of IiL, ILAKA racing.
Yeah, and coming down into these moments and with such a tight points difference for first place, both of these racers are going to leave it all on the track to try and claim the ultimate prize of first place. I mean, it's always nice to get first place, but to have it in a moment like this, there's a lot of stress involved, tempers, anything can happen. And you just hope for clean racing with fast cars and keeping it all on track so that nothing untowardly happens to anything on this track.
Still waiting for one more car to grid. Oh, okay, here come the lights, Nick. It's all come down to this. These drivers are going to put it all out on the line. Asaf is going to take off and lead them into turn 1. Up through the gears they go. Dima's already making a move to the inside.
Dima making that first move as we're looking at the start.
Oh,
here.
Dima spun! Dima has spun! Oh, after all the selling, after all the hard work. Oh, not going to have that second heat race to restart to gain more points. Dima is I wouldn't say officially out of this yet, but that's going to be really hard to go from last to first, especially if Asaf is running P3 right now. Oh, take another look, see what happens.
Yeah, it looks like they just got pinched out, tried to take that inside line, and the outside driver there. Yeah, they turned too early. They had to make that turn because they didn't have enough room. They got caught up on those curbs and then punted out of position because they were off track. So unfortunate for them, as we can see that almost McLaren covered car there on the outside, having to go outside around the blue. The blue car there, the baby blue, having to cut in tight because of that means that they also got spun around. Rough timings for both of those cars as they're now at the back of the pack trying to make their way back forward. But for Dima especially, that almost secures the championship for Aaron Dolitsky here as we get started. But there is still about 38 minutes of racing left, and anything can happen as Dima can make their way back. It's only a 15-second gap. We saw that they had speed in qualifying, so it's not like it's insurmountable. It's just going to be one difficult race ahead for them.
Definitely so is now Iran. Blinks just a little bit. Oh, Dima's come down to the pits. Not what we wanted to see early in this race for him. Not sure if he's just going to take a fast repair or just call it. We'll stick on board with him for a sec. Oh, serving a penalty, it almost looks like. Not sure.
It seemed like it was probably for an unsafe entry or causing. They could have also been deemed cause of the collision, just by how what it looked like. But looking at the standings here, so Dor Malka is sitting at 165 points, as just behind Dima at the 171. So depending on how this race finishes, Dima could actually drop into third even if Door can score enough points and keep Dima back far enough.
Good looks on that, Nick. That's something that I kind of wasn't even anticipating, is now Iran looks like was trying to make a move on Door back there for second place. Looks like fell back, thought better of it. Going to complete lap 4 here at Imola. Ooh, a spin behind. Mini. Mini's going to go around. 77 gets his Super Formula Light righted the right way. Ooh, Amnon looks like he was involved in that as well. We'll take another look, brought to you by Stam Studio Network. So here's Amnon here, that McLaren colored. Loses it under the braking, and here comes Mini here. Or that's the, yeah, that is him around the outside.
Yeah, having to go out wide and then just was carrying too much speed through the sand pit. Had to break it and didn't quite spin, but definitely lost a lot of time on that. And then with the papaya car there, it just was too much speed. They led onto the gas during that turn. So that's one thing that you have to be careful of in these cars is there's no like ABS. There is some ABS, but a lot of these cars, if you put too much gas too early, one, your revs go too fast, your tires get out of sync, and it will spin you right around if you are not careful. So something to keep an eye on is how these racers decide to handle that, as this is the last race of the season. You know they've put time in on these cars just with the practice and the racing, but at the same time, I'm assuming they've put practice in off as well. As there's another spin there by many as they're trying to get a handle back on their car, and they've lost 2 positions off that so far, dropping down into 7th.
Gosh, Dima's still back 37 seconds back. Something that's also kind of have to take note in these Super Formula Lights, these tire compounds that they race on really aren't the hardest. So sure, you might have Asaf here up in the lead by a 3.1 second gap, but that's definitely not the end of the race either, as he could definitely heat up his fronts, rears, or both, start struggling with his car, and have Door right there behind him. And Iran's still right there within our top 3, within that 3-second gap of Door as well. So long way to go, 34 minutes.
Dima just at the fastest lap of the race so far at a 1:35.997. So really trying to leave some rubber on the track and make up time, as they are flying to try and get back into a position where they can fight for that championship first place.
Homer here in his really nice colored blue, red, and black Super Formula Light CLR there on his side pod. He's running 5th now, so don't think that he even set down a qualifying lap. So just kind of putting in laps here at Imola. See him come through the chicane there. Pretty nice line.
Yeah, no, they're putting down a really nice line there. The group is spreading out a bit. Asaf here really spreading out from Door and Aaron, as they are fighting for position here as they come into turn number 1.
Whoa.
Squeezing Aaron just barely. It seemed like a perfectly good racing move. You know, they left room for Aaron on the track, but definitely forcing them to tap those brakes just a little bit more to make sure that they couldn't take that complete inside line, as these 2 racers are going at it right now. You can see Aaron about 6 car lengths behind that of Door, trying to get into that 2nd position, as we can hear the revs of the engine. Taking that a little wide, unfortunate there, but Door also not carrying a lot of speed through, and even with that wide line, Aaron was able to come up with a little bit heavy on the brake there, just to make sure that they don't crash into the back end of Door. Door is able to speed away just a little bit more. These are the technical portions of the track that can really make or break everything, as once again, they're just, with the Door taking that curb just a little bit more, they were able to carry a little bit more speed, whereas Aaron went for a more conservative approach and didn't carry as much speed through that corner. Now this is going to be a crucial one, as you really have to chain these corners together nicely. You can see the line of Aaron there. Went a little wide on the exit of the second turn, meaning they lose a little bit of time, but overall still keeping a decent pace. They've lost about a second overall. Both of these racers have, as they've been battling it out for that second position to that of Asaph in first.
Great rundown of the two drivers battling here in Italy. Is, you know, if you're Iran, you got to be careful not to get too terribly close to Door's bumper. You damage your front wing, that could put you out of the top three very quickly. Matter of fact, have Dima even possibly pass you and see what happens with the points. But as far as I was mathematically concerned, I was kind of just looking at the top three, but it's still anybody's game as far as the top three in the championship go. You said Dima possibly falling back to that third spot, so still quite a ways to go here in Imola. Look at these drivers really, you said it best, piece together the corners. To set up one corner, you have to set up the corner before that. Going to the hard braking zone is we're going to see Door. Oh, didn't hold his brakes, almost. Check out our championship leader, Iran. Whoa, that could have been lethal.
And that is just, that's Iran putting in pressure onto Door. As you can see, they knew that Iran was always going to be on them. Took a little bit too much curb there. Same thing here, just trying to keep as much speed as possible. But whenever you take that, it's a high risk, high reward. And unfortunately, the coin flip this time was risk. Could not handle the car coming out of the second part of that bend there, of that chicane, and kind of got run out. And now it's going to be Iran in second, with Door having to go into the pits to get a little bit of a repair, maybe some new tires.
Yeah, not sure why that would warrant a repair. Maybe just, yeah, came in for tires. Maybe try and put down a fast lap, get one championship point. Not too sure what's going on there with Doors. Asaph still out here in the lead. I mentioned it kind of in our broadcasting meeting before the race. Asaph, he's a really fast driver. But respectively, he's aggressive on the gas. But not all incidents have been his fault either. He's been on the receiving end of just wild starts this Silver Series race. So, you know, I like to see him up here in the front. It's cool to see him running top three, especially up here in the lead. But he's kind of consistently ran in those top three spots, hence not getting in early crashes this Silver Series. So we might even see Asaph maybe one day graduate to the Gold Series, this IiL, ILAKA Esports.
Yeah, they've been putting in, you know, we saw them in qualifying, we've seen them in the race, and even in practice, they're laying down consistent fast lap times. And sometimes racing comes down to just how lucky are you on track. Sometimes you can run a perfect race and one thing goes wrong and it's not your fault at all and you are out of it. One of my favorite sayings is for Le Mans during the 24 hours, you don't win Le Mans, you're just looking to complete it, because winning Le Mans is not something you just do. It's dealt in the cards by the track and by the race itself. Any number of things can go wrong in any number of races here, and you can only control a small portion of them, and that is you and your car and the line you are putting down of rubber. And as long as you can put down a consistent line and you can hope and pray all day long that nothing bad happens around you, and you can potentially hit that first place.
I think consistency is really key as you try to work within a rhythm, but kind of hard to do with battling three cars beside you. I think Dima's just said, screw this, gonna try and battle for all it's worth. No, that is Door again with heavy damage. Looks like he got damage off of the side of Mini. Is now you can hear his car is not happy. Ooh, his right front is not even spinning off the ground anymore. Not a good look for Dora there, as he was involved in another incident.
Yeah, I mean, the big things there, it's going to be rough for Door right now. As I'm looking at the championship leaders right now, so it's Aaron, Dima, then Door, with Asaf being in first right now. Of course, only first, second, or third gets points, it looks like, with first getting 50 points, second getting 44, and third getting 40, at least of the points that matter here. With and let me take a look here with Dima being down basically out of points, of these major point getters. Asaf could actually jump Door very easily, and depending on where Dima lands, Asaf could finish second overall.
Pretty wild turn of events here in just one race. You see Dima now trying to put the work to Mini on that outside. Gonna get the traction down, get the run down the backstretch. And then, ooh, they're gonna be side by side to the next braking zone. See what happens here with Dima. Mini going at it. Ooh,
Wide
that was
outside
close.
line. Had to dip outside just a little bit to make sure that the front right of Many did not touch the left rear of Door's car, or not Door, of Dima's car, just to make sure they wouldn't get spun out there, excuse me. As now it's going to be up to Many to try to get back into that, but it's going to be a little bit hard. We see a slight lockup coming out from Dima's. They had to go a little bit more aggressive on the brakes to make sure that they could stay on track there. I don't think Many's going to catch up here. Dima's just, you can see the gap just widening as we watch this. Dima is laying down rubber hard and fast to make sure that they can catch back up. Already back up into 5th position, still 42 seconds back from the lead. But that could be potentially, if they can get into 4th and maybe 3rd, depending on how this race goes. We still have, another 25 minutes on the clock. Could potentially get themselves back up into a points contention for that 2nd place still.
We see some nice drone shots. Looks like trying to track our cars through the foliage here in Italy. Yeah, this is going. It's crazy just how much can switch within one race, especially. Again, this is just the 140-minute race, not the 2 heats. Another lockup out of Dima. So there's still quite a bit that can happen. We're almost halfway in the race. Asaf still out to a comfortable lead now of 3.5 seconds over Iran. But it just takes a little slight bit of overdriving into the corner. You see some lockups out of Dima there lately, really pushing his car. Looks like Iran's trying to stay that 3.6 second gap. We'll see what it is into turns 1, 2, and 3. Closes it slightly by a few tenths. Take a look at the lap time history between the two. Matter of fact, Iran's faster, you can see, still closing the gap.
Yeah, as with Aaron, I mean, now that Aaron has free space on to Asaf, it's gonna be, you can already see it in these timings. Sector 1, they're 0.3 seconds faster. Sector 2, they're basically even. There's enough time on the clock where they could potentially, bring it back. As Amnon is not going to be catching up to Aaron anytime soon. They're actually losing time as.
Yeah, 2.6.
Bring it back
lower.
a little bit as. Yeah, Aaron lost a little bit in Sector 3, but could bring it back in Sector 4. There's a lot of play here, especially in these technical portions, where as long as you can hold a steady line, you can typically bring it back, as you can already see now, slowly working it back to where they want to be. And even those little seconds matter. That they were 4.5, almost 5 seconds back of Asaf, and now they're at 3.5 and gaining. So
and then slower,
They're
well,
really
about
gonna.
even that sector, sector 5. So
You can
lots
see a
of play.
136.7.07 to a 135.94.
Mm.
So, about point 0.5, half a second. Not half a second. What is it? No, that'd be half a second ish.
So check this out. We have Asaf here in the lead, obviously, but Door, if he keeps running this pace, he has the leaders there maybe 5-10 seconds back. So if Door chooses not to obey, like, by, that's a tongue twister. Um, Normal racecraft rules, Asaf could get slowed down a little bit by Door, maybe just present enough of a gap change to give Iran a little bit of a jump. But now already Iran falling back to 4.1 now off of Asaf. So again, you can't
I
push
think
too
it just comes to.
hard if
Ooh.
you're
Good
Iran.
save. Good save.
Very good save. Wow. Locked him up quick.
It comes down to the different portions of the track, I think, but that lock up there and that almost spin is really going to cost Aaron there a lot of time. As you can already see, it's up to 6 seconds. So I mean, you're probably seeing these two racers probably going to end in this position. If they don't and it's flipped, it's going to be by the slimmest of margins. I'm going to call it right now at the halfway point. As Asaf, unless something crazy happens where they spin out without any pressure behind them, as long as they can run a clean race from here on out, I really don't see too many differences up on the top. I would say even the top 3, I think, would stay the same unless Dima just really pushes hard here.
Something I wanted to share just real quick as we have a little break in the action. I have started my own iRacing league. It's going to be Porsche Cup versus the NAS Cup. That's the Gen 7 NASCAR. You see 5 different road course races, 1 oval race. Looks like Charlotte, but that has been changed to Legacy Phoenix. So if you want to come put your racing talents on action, on display, as neither car is ABS or TC, super similar on pace between the two, surprisingly, come join us. Get with me and I'll get you registered for the league. Starts, you see up there in the top left, January 4th, our first race every Saturday up until February 8th. So come join us. That would be loads of fun. As now talking with my road course racing audience, Iran diving into the pits, has a 30-second gap in front of Amnon, maybe coming into trying to get some new tires, possibly get that fastest lap point.
I would assume so. After that lockup, they probably have a few bald spots. It's a little bit hard for them to potentially, keep with that pacing, and maybe with those new tires, it'll, give them the timings that they need to really push it. You can also see Amnon's coming in as well.
Wow,
So
interesting. With this a 40-minute race, this could be a fuel stop.
could be.
As small as these
Absolutely
fuel
could be a
tanks are,
fuel
these
stop.
Super Formula lights. Nice exit there,
That
Iran.
does mean we do see that Tomer there does take second. I would say that's a provisional second. It's not the true racing second that you would expect, only because of Iran diving into the pits there. I'm gonna assume that that Tomer's gonna need to as well. So that's really. I mean, I'm not expecting anything too much there to come of it. I would say Aaron just needs to hold their pace. Don't worry about trying to overtake, because that can only induce more issues. As if it is a fuel stop, that means Tomer's going to have to come in at some point soon to do the same thing.
Very good point. Wow, look at the speed difference that Iran takes. He way more speed into that entry. Kind of sacrificed the exit a little bit as you see Tomer. Hard right braking zone into the chicane. Going to get just quite a little bit more runoff of Iran. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see this pace differential between the two, and if slash when Tomer chooses to pit.
Yeah, and with how Tomer's racing, Aaron's just a faster racer, so
Yeah,
it's gonna mean that. But look at Dima. I don't think Dima has pit for fuel. As
Dima,
Tomer does dive in here, Dima and Aaron are neck and neck right now. You can see they're literally side by side in the timings. It's really going to come down to, has Dima pit for fuel? I know they took that early pit stop and they've been working back. I think that, but I don't know if this is really true racing or if Dima's going to have just trying to get as much positioning as possible before having to go into the pits for their fuel stop as well.
oh my gosh. So, you said it best. He did have that earlier pit stop. Did he? Was he allowed to? Not was he allowed, but did he put? What am I trying to say? Did he have enough room in the tank to put enough fuel to get him to the end? Because that would be quite a strategy call. Yeah, I doubt it too. That was what, lap 1 to lap 2 incident.
Yeah.
But,
so what I'm really looking at is, did they put how much? Did they top off to try and, you know, eke out a few laps here to maybe come up with something, shortchange their fuel on the second half type of situation to run a lighter car?
he ran right back
have
around
that
him.
potential, but with everything going on here, as we were talking, Dima took a bad line through one of the corners and allowed Iran to come back into the lead. At least between these two cars, there's still a massive gap to Asaf, who is on the pit exit right now, and there's going to be, I'm guessing, a 3-second difference between the 1, 2, and 3 cars here.
Comes down all to your pit entry and pit exit. Drivers making their stops about halfway through this race. Look at this. Dima going to make another move along the outside. Dima loves the outside lines here. Imola makes it happen again.
Oh, wow, it's a 10-second gap. As you can see, Asaf way out in the front. This battle actually slowing these two cars down quite a bit. And now Dima's up here again. We still have that fuel question. If Dima can hold this for the next 15 minutes, though, Aaron still gets first, but Dima holds second with, I believe, Asaf would be jumping into third, most likely. If I look at the points breakdown here, Yossi Gabe, no, that's in gold. Hold on. It would be Dor who's in last. Yeah, Asaf would overtake Dor most likely. And that would mean that Asaf would finish in third overall in the championship if the standings held like they are right now.
So you can see the pit stop strategy lap there. Yeah, we have Delitsky and then Zari third and fourth. They just pit lap 13, and then, matter of fact, Tomer back there, 6th place, just pit lap 14. So, not sure why it's saying Asaf pit here, as he's still out on track. So I was just trying to get another look at the fuel. Didn't really get a good enough look on that graphic. Asaf still, yeah, he's completed his stop, correct?
Yes.
Incident back here in the back, or halfway through the pack. Tomer and Minnie going at it into one of the chicanes. Oh, they both. Whoa! 2 separate incidences, 2 almost same paint schemes as well. Look, they're still battling. Oh, that's funny. I would love to get an on-board look from Minnie into that crash. That was pretty interesting looking.
There, coming out of the corner.
Here we go, down the backstretch. So Minnie
carrying
a little bit
lot
more
of speed through this corner.
Very, and then look at this.
Ooh.
Super aggressive exit.
That is way too much curb. And yeah, too much speed too early on the gas for both of them. They didn't even touch. It was just both making the
Ooh!
same issue, and then the contact there. But I mean, really,
That was a
really,
great
it was an
breakdown.
unforced error on both halves.
Yeah, definitely. Uh, I almost wonder if those two are teammates with as similar paint schemes as they're running, but that would be pretty. Uh, I don't even know the word for that if two teammates kind of tapped each other like that after an incident. But take a look at Dima down to 8.5-second gap. If Iran loses that top 3 spot, Dima gains that first spot along with the fastest lap. He can steal away that championship. Not over till it's over, is it, Nick?
It is never over till it's over. Dima's still hunting for that top championship and has a 7-second lead over Aaron right now, so something must have happened.
Speaking of something happened, check this out. This is Iran.
Unforced error. That's why you don't take curbs, ladies and gentlemen. It bounces the car, unsettles everything. We're able to save it, luckily, but it's these moments like this that really test the nerves of these drivers.
Yeah, I thought I learned when almost 10 years ago when I was learning how to drive. You know, you kind of want to avoid the curbs. I'm talking just normal everyday driving. You don't want curb rash on your tires or rims. But Iran decides, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try and take the little bit of damage on the diffuser. And it was really lucky that he didn't spin around. Had he spun, lost another 10, 15 seconds, could have put him out of that top 3 as Dima continues to close the gap to our leader Asaf. After that first lap spin, too.
Getting closer and closer on these times. And Dima is now, I mean, still just keeping pace with what they've been wanting to do to try and catch Asaf and hope that potentially Aaron is out of that top 3 to give them that potential. Because right now, last I saw, Dima has fastest lap. So they have that extra point. They just now need to come in first on top of Aaron finishing out of the top 3. That would secure them first place.
I will confirm, Dima at the moment fastest lap of the race. And then let's hop on a board with Dima, or at least check the restart from our aerial cam. Oh, there it was. Check that out. That
That's
is why
they
he
went
had
into
to
the
pit. Exactly. Oh, this
A
is
false
championship
start.
breaking mistakes. As then he gets
It
involved
is.
in that next incident a few turns a little later. But we say all this now, and he is only 7.7 back. Really gingerly takes it into turn 1 and still gets taken out, along with the black flag penalty. But just, that's all to be said. Check this out now, 7.7. But Amnon running 17 seconds back on Iran,
That means they haven't taken fuel, because that wasn't a pit stop.
Dima?
Yeah.
So Dima pit that like lap 1, I know he pit, so that's not gonna last him.
It wasn't a pit. It was the penalty serve.
Right. Oh, you're right. So he just completely drove through, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Then how is he still running?
If those were fuel stops, I don't think those were fuel stops. I think those were tire stops. I think because of the spins that those racers had, their tires weren't up to, were not giving them the grip that they wanted, so they needed to stop. Because here's Mini going in once again. I think those were tire stops.
Yeah, Mini coming into the pits. Let's see if he has damage or if it's just more of a... I don't really see too much damage there. Yeah, maybe people are trying to get that extra point fast lap. I wish... Oh my... This is... throwing me for a bit of a loop here, Nick.
Oh, that's the beauty of racing. Just trying to figure out what they are trying to do here. As yeah, because Asaf also pitted probably for those tires, but here goes Dima now, and that means Aaron will take second. As you can see them coming around that corner, not going into the pit lane. Dima's going to get overtaken here by Aaron, who's going to take that second position in just a few seconds as they cross that line in second position now. So that's going to pretty much guarantee Aaron in that second position and first place as Dima is here. You can see them lift up, get those tires, and head back out. Their only hope at this point is this Asaf and Aaron collide with each other or both make unforced errors that allow them to take the lead. But now they are going to be back into fourth position behind Amnon, which pretty much dashes their hopes of getting first place, but should be able to hold second if they can pass up Amnon here, which we know they can. They have the speed, which would put Asaf into third over Door.
So right before Dima came into the pits, see if this is the same incident here. It says he ran. It says he crashed. We'll take a look. Oh yeah, that was the same.
That was the same incident.
Yeah. So
full speed, man. It always looks bad.
If you Gold Series drivers are watching, keep in mind it can all come down to just one turn. How you take that turn, how aggressive you are on the curbs, to determine where you finish in these championship standings. I know next we're gonna have Ran with us. Ran has been tremendous throughout the season. However, Ran must finish fourth or worse for IiL to have a chance to win that championship. If Ran finishes first, second, or third, he does lock in that championship regardless of IiL's finish in that next Gold Series race. Here we still have Asaf, 10-second gap now on Eran. Eran looks to solidify his championship hopes here in a little less than 6 minutes to go. See, Dima coming in again, possibly a speeding penalty.
It could be.
Let's see if he
it
goes
could be
all
also
the way.
for going off track violations, because this is just a straight drive-through penalty. It could be track violations.
Yeah, going all the way, not going to pull into his box. So some sort of violation for Dima there. See, that's to win championships. It comes down to simple mistakes and the fact that you just can't make them. Even the most tiny mistakes, whether what Dima just got docked for there. So we're going to jump back on board with Asaf here, still leading our championship race at Imola, Italy. Little lap traffic in front of him, but with 10 seconds. Whoa! Whoa!
Ooh.
Holy smokes! Who's that? That was Gabriel that went off in front.
Yeah.
Again, just how fast things can happen.
Yeah, and that could have almost derailed Asaf's third place championship finish. Is with Gabriel going off here, comes back onto the track, meaning that Asaf has to do a quick dodge.
Barely missed him.
Coming out of the exit there, yeah. Good racing instincts there by Asaf to avoid that and keep control of the car, as that could have been disastrous for both drivers.
On board with Asaf now into this incident. Check this out. Oh, that is a scary sight when you're leading a championship race, rather. Oh my.
It is one indeed, as with Asaf, I mean, that could have, depending on, so if they hit and Asaf isn't able to get back on track fast enough, that could have put Aaron into first, and Asaf potentially would not get third off of it because of the points difference between first and second. It's a 6-point difference that you would earn. That could have spelled disaster for their third place bid here in the championship in the final race.
I'll just take you through our standings at the moment. You have Aaron here second. Amnon, great run for him in the papaya colors. His 78, running P3, and then Dima up to P4 now after, we'll just call it an eventful day, to say the least. His number 7 purple, changing to pink in that rear Super Formula Light. See IiL, ILAKA sponsors plastered all over that. We appreciate. Then Tomer had the 94 running right behind Dima, 5th spot. Just putting together I'll say clean race, but we saw a little bit of an incident with a car that looked pretty similar to his early on. Door, Bumblebee looking Super Formula Light, involved in a few incidents today, but he's still rolling. P6, Gabriel, P7, in his red Super Formula Light. You see Iran behind him, about to put him a lap down, or he's second, so it's already a lap down. Mini here, P8. That's that car that looks just like Tomer's, believe that was, and then Eric Lapter running P9. Saw him off the track just a few times, but running that baby blue. Nice paint scheme. Whoa! That'll lock up for him there. You see a paint scheme that is your favorite so far, Nick?
It's close. It reminds me of Sandy from Cars.
Yeah. It's like that same exact blue, isn't it?
It really is. And, you know, being one of the generation that grew up on that movie, like, you have to love that kind of, you know, paint scheme there. I do have to say, I like the purple of Aaron's car. I think that bright yellow, though, Bumblebee.
Let's see a good look at it.
I really do like Door's car. I like to be able to see a car on track, so. And with the red tip, it just looks really clean.
Yeah, it looks mean. Mean and clean. Try and make a move here on Tomer coming to the last lap of the race. Whoa!
Ooh.
Contact between the two drivers.
Lose a little bit off of it. Luckily, nothing more major happens.
So we'll jump back on board with Asaf. We'll see how close he is to the start-finish line, if that's going to warrant. Okay, should be coming to the checkered next time by. So this will make it official once they all come across the line. Asaf still first. Iran's going to almost certainly take the championship at this point. There's no chance that Dima can do anything at this point. Emnon back there still third. 30-second gap on fourth. Dima. These drivers are pulling, looks like some, I want to say, F1 strategy. Maybe trying to pit this last lap and then getting new tires with extremely low fuel. Trying to put down a fast lap, or maybe just incident penalty, as we saw these two drivers bang gearboxes and front fenders, front noses a few turns ago, as they're still at it. Look at this. Tomer and Door really hard at it. Now Asaf has made it official, taking the checkered flag. Iran also going to make it official. Congratulations. You've won the championship. Asaf, congratulations to you. Going to take home the checkered flag at Imola. Emnon's going to take home P3. Dima's going to end up passing Door, take that P4 spot. Away from Door, going to finish 5th for him. Tomer going to finish 6th. Fastest lap showing right now still belongs to Dima, that 134.9. Remember that 134.9 compared to our Gold Series coming up.
It'll be interesting to see where Door finishes off here, because that could determine the placements overall. So with Door coming in 5th, I'd be curious to see what the points finish is for them as the final tally for the championship, to see, does Asaf take 3rd, or are they going to be in that 4th position that they are in now? Because right now, 165 to 156 is, ooh.
Somewhere it goes around.
A big wipe out there, meaning that they're going to finish in 6th. There's no way that they're going to catch up now unless Door just has a massive failure on them, but they're at the finish line now. So with that checkered flag for Door, there's There's a 9-point gap between Door and Asaph in the final, in the standings. So with how the points come out, I'd be curious. There is a potential that Asaph can still overtake Door depending on how many points Door gets.
Yeah,
and if that 9-point gap is enough of a buffer.
Yeah, I was only told that the top 3, unless that was just a shortened message, but yeah, the top 3 earning points. So quite possibly, check in with Tal Stern. I'll be sure to add in the description of the YouTube upload here just who takes what points. And also, be sure to join us for this Gold Series race coming up in just a few minutes. We're going to get switched over to the right session. Qualifying is just beginning now, so we'll see you here in just a few minutes. Stay tuned on the Stam Studio Network. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Imola, Italy. We got a good one for you here today. Gold Series Championship Racing. We're going to have to keep an eye on Ran and IiL. Ran must finish fourth or worse for IiL to have a chance to win the championship today. If Ran finishes that top three, regardless of where IiL finishes, Ran will take home that much-deserved championship. We've seen Ran super fast throughout the season today, or throughout the season. Today, I have Nick joining me up in the booth. How's it going, Nick?
Pretty good, pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Wouldn't lie if I said I'm a little bit nervous to see how this race, how really the initial start is going to unfold as qualifying taking place now.
Yeah.
I got Nadav here, yeah.
I mean, this qualifying is really going to set the stage for how this second race of the day for us will look. Considering in that first race with the silver, there's so few cars. We only had that one incident in the first turn where there was the slight squeeze out, but they also had that false start. So it, no matter what, they were going to end up at the back, and they really brought it back for the race. But for this one, at least, higher rated drivers, it's going to be faster. I expect these drivers to know their racing lines, to really lay down some good lap times. I think it was a 135.6 was our fastest in silver. I would expect us to be at least a couple seconds faster than that right now as we get into it. We're on board with Ran, who is the points leader right now in the championship, to see where everything will end up for us. It is a 10-minute qualifying to lay down the fastest lap you can and try to score as many points as possible during this race.
For sure. First getting 50 points, second getting 44 points, third getting 40. So that's how we're kind of able to mathematically determine these championship runnings. Watch out for Imola today. It's known for its challenging corners, high-speed straights mixed with these really technical sections. Have to be careful with these closed walls and limited runoff on exit, as we saw that kind of play itself in that silver race. Imola it's been a fan favorite with Formula One, with its difficult and unforgiving nature. As we see IiL here. IiL and Ran again are. Whoa, that's not gonna be what he wants.
Too much curb once again. We saw it in the first race of the day in the silver series. If you take those curbs, especially those bumps right there, those where they're staggered, you can see it just shunted them off to the side. And with these higher speeds, it can turn even more disastrous than what we saw, depending on how you take it. So we'll have to keep an eye as they come through this corner here.
Take one more look at it. I just want to try and back this up to where we can see how aggressive he is on these curbs. There's a better look. Both tires off the ground. These drivers searching for just about every single thing that they can to give them a 10th, a 100th, maybe even 1,000th of a second, as now we're going to see Michael Scherling take it to the top of the charts at Imola.
Yeah, 135.7 so far is the fastest lap for Michael Scherling. I would expect it to go. I'm surprised at the speed isn't as. It's a little slower than I expected. I will be honest, but with the warm up here, getting used to the track a little bit. They had some practice laps for, of course, but it's still in qualifying. Everything's a little bit different. There's more pressure involved. But with this 135.7, I think we might see a little bit faster from some of these racers who haven't laid down a lap yet. I think you said we had 13 racers in this race coming up here in just a few minutes. We have about 4 more racers that need to lay down a qualifying lap. So once we get all of them down, we'll really get a good feel for where everybody is sitting.
Definitely so, and we appreciate these drivers uploading their profile pictures to the SDK driver information app. Once again, you see Gilead here, his picture uploaded. Lots of these Gold Series drivers you see partake in some real racing outside of the sim. No, Rand
There
does
it
for sure.
is.
And there, yeah, that 134.9. Looks like he already towed it back to the pits after quite a fast lap. Here's Rand. There's Nadav putting it to a stop. So where does IiL? There he goes, P4. Ooh. I
Ooh.
have to rewind that.
Hey,
Take a
they
look.
left it all out on the track for qualifying. That's what we have to say there.
Definitely so. Takes the. Oh, and he.
They just went straight. They were just like, "Ah, what's the quickest way back to the pits? Through this wall."
So now that brings us to Arnon Levi, driver of the 39, brown and black colored Super Formula Light. Should complete his lap just about now. So we're still in replay. Jump back alive. Got Yehuda just now finishing his lap. He'll come P8. Mark Zubarev going to come to a crawling stop in his Red Bull Super Formula Light. 10th right now. It's only one more driver. That's Omri. Omri, nice to see that you can make it. Only person not to put down a lap just yet. 4 minutes to go. Oh, here goes Mark.
I really like the look of this Red Bull car. I will be honest. I like the how they have the bull over the safety cell there in that fashion. Really nicely done. Gets both. Everybody gets to see it then. I'm really looking for how this start's going to go, right? That's the big thing that we're really looking out for. We saw that false start in our first race. I don't expect we'll see that in this race as we get a beautiful look at the soccer field once again. I am hoping for a clean start, and especially into that first turn. That's where this wheel-to-wheel action and the control that these drivers have is going to come into play, especially those that are, like 4th to 7th and beyond that. That's really, the pack is going to really bunch up there, and that's where the difference is going to be made. So as we wait for the drivers to get lined up at this moment, as it looks like qualifying has finished, it's going to be a good race in this Gold Series for the final race of the season.
Definitely so. And let's just show this Gold Series audience once again just where we are in the world today. See, we're zooming into Italy. There you see Imola start to take its shape just about now. You can see pretty long track, pretty long straights. You got that soccer field there, the top left. Just saw it over the drone cam. So pretty tough, challenging technical corners for our drivers today. Appreciate Tal for making this their championship race. So lots of F1 fans love Imola and the racing that it provides. Again, keep an eye on Rand and IiL. They're championship runners. Looking at the points, Rand at 192 and then IiL 174. Yossi P3 in the points at 153. Arnon right there behind at 143. So really, as far as the top 3 goes in the championship standings, anybody's race.
It really is. I mean, there's a lot of players still in this top. So we have Ran at 192, IiL at 174, Yossi's at 153, and Arnon Levi's at 143. So these top 4, yeah, there's a large gap, but depending on how this race goes, anybody can jump over some of those and really, set themselves up for some success. Now, of course, Ran must finish 4th or worse for IiL to have a chance to win the championship. And for IiL, that's what you're hoping for. But for Ran, as long as they run a clean race, we can already see they had an excellent qualifying. It is all just going to be up to Ran if they can hold at least 4th, which I would assume they're going to be able to, having started first with a decent, healthy couple of millisecond advantage over that of IiL and the rest. I don't see too much of an issue for them here.
So see how much time, 15 seconds before the drivers take to the grid. So yeah, you said it best. It's going to come down to the start. You got Ran, and then IiL dropped down to P6 now. So keep an eye on these restarts. You've seen Ran get involved in some of these inverted split wrecks. None of that today. 1 40-minute race that we have. So as long as Ran is able to kind of get off the line cleanly, present no lockups within the race, I think we'll see a pretty clean start from him.
Yep, as the drivers are lining up now, and we are just waiting. Here we go. Lights are coming on in just a few seconds here, Sean.
And it's lights out, and away we go for the IiL ILAKA championship race. Bit cleaner start this time by as now we're starting to see a little bit 3 wide into turn 1. See a IiL there.
Right into turn. Oof.
That was close. Gonna all make it through it. Surprisingly so. Come down into turn 2, the quick. It's gonna be a left-hander into another quick right-hander. The weight shifting on these cars. Drivers all still making it clean through lap 1.
Everybody making it through. We're looking good so far for all of these racers. And we can see the sun glinting off the helmets in a really nice sparkly show as we looked down the lineup there as
Whoa,
a
IiL!
little bit of too much curve for IiL there, sends them out wide, and they lose a position off that, dropping into the 6th position now as they have a lot to make up. Ran still holding in over 2nd gap to the next racer of Michael Scherling. So really putting on a show up front as now we look through the rest of the racers as they come through this corner here. What a great shot that is. And that is a really nice lime green color. You can really spot that anywhere.
Gee, Yossi up here made it to P3 after starting 5th. That was cool seeing the sun glisten off their helmets as they made their way down the front stretch here to Imola, Italy. Ran now to a 2.5 second gap over Michael Scherling, and already a driver entering the pits. That's a IiL. Another back-to-back championship. Not going to call it ending, but championship, we'll ruining start for a IiL who had a chance to break away from Ran, but not gonna happen here in Imola. Now Ran is up to 1.8, almost 2 seconds over Michael Scherling early in the race. Gilead back here battling hard. You see Arnon trying to get back on track after a little bit of an off-track excursion. Very. See Arnon, there's Mark Zubarev, that Red Bull Super Formula Light right behind him, P7.
You can just feel the pace is faster with these drivers over that in the Silver Series as they are flying through these laps already, as Ran has just done a quiet 2.5 second lead over Michael. Insane work by our points leader right now up in the front. And then between Mark and Dror, between 7th and 8th, there's a 7-second gap there. Massive work by Mark to put that into place. That's really the 2 groups that we have right now. Well, 3 groups that we have. Ran in their own race right now. Then it's going to be 2, 3, 4 battling it out. And then 5, 6, 7. And then it's really 8th and 9th. And then it's going to be everybody else is kind of on their lone side past that between 10 and 13th, with Omri 47 seconds back off the lead and 13 seconds back of IiL, who is trying to work their way back up this field to potentially have a shot at grabbing first. But with where they're at right now, potentially losing out and not having an opportunity for second even.
Take a look at what happened on lap 1. This is Ido. Gonna look down the inside, bit of a lockup, and that's gonna collect. That's Mark Zubarev, and then it sounds like some more chaos going on a little bit further outside the camera shot. Looks like Yehuda got involved as well in that slight lockup from Ido. Let's take one more look here.
Ooh, yeah.
So there's Mark, and then, yeah, here's Yehuda. Bit damage to his Super Formula Light. Whoa! So he tries to get back on track.
That was a big mistake with that lockup, trying to send it down the inside, didn't have enough room, realized it too late, and
Whoa!
just sent everybody wide as Nadav spins out on their own. Too much gas too early on in that exit means that they lose 2 positions there. Big loss for them as well. As we'll take a quick look at the standings here for Nadav. They are sitting in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're in 10th right now with 101 points. They're really trying to jumpstart and get ahead of Yehuda, who has 108 points, who is in 10th right now. So Nadav really trying to get as many points as possible to potentially get that overtake.
See Nadav making pretty quick work of Mark, who I think has a little bit of damage on his car. Gonna crawl down the inside of the chicane here. Make that move for 6. Got Arnon up there 5th, just a little bit ways in front of Arnon Gilead and his white Super Formula lights. So again, it all comes down to these kind of starts of the race. We'll take a look at the green flag start. Brought to you by Stam Studio Network. Try and get some aerial coverage for you too. See a little bit more of what happens on the start. So here you have ran up there, top left of your screen, or middle top of your screen, gonna drive away from the pack. This is, here you have drawer. So pretty clean start within the first few turns, even first half of the lap. And here we're on board with Ido. Oh, I'm sorry.
They had a really nice clean start overall. There's even another papaya colored car here with Ido. I'm hoping that they're a McLaren fan with that color scheme there, as with how these cars are coming down, you can feel the speed. You can see that they're holding onto these corners really nicely. Good brake control overall.
Ooh.
And then right there, a little bit of a bump, lost their front wing, and that is going to require them, yeah, they're going to have to go into the pits because you cannot race like that. You just don't have the speed. You don't have the downforce.
So that quite possibly could be where this lockup comes from here, is now just not expecting the loss of downforce and then just lose it into the side pod of Mark and then collects a IiL, or I'm sorry, whoever that was with them. Nadav is, or now we've seen Nadav's separate incident. This has just now happened. We'll take a look. It's going into the hard right braking zone. No chicane. And that switchback. We've seen that plenty of times today. Totally.
Yeah. Too much curve and then too much gas because you're expecting it one thing and that muscle memory takes over and your car doesn't have the downforce. And it turns you right around, unfortunately. As you can see it once again, this time with IiL, same thing. They're just taking too much of that curb, trying to get too much speed through there, and they're paying the price for it. As IiL this time was the lost out on it from there, and there's another one, just too much speed through, couldn't make that turn for Omri. A lot of these racers just carrying too much speed, trying to make these turns too tight, and they're paying the price for it.
These cars are on a knife's edge, aren't they? Super Formula lights. So we see Ran now 4.3 seconds in front of Michael. Closest battle on track is probably between Arnon and Nadav here. But not as much gap as we saw in the silver race. Not this early on. Almost to 10 minutes. If Ran keeps it up, this could be a championship winning race for him. Pretty much already should be, as now IiL is a minute back from Ido.
Yeah. IiL is a minute back. And Ran has a almost 5 second gap to Michael. So, I mean, overall, I don't see this changing too much if with how clean they're having of a race right now. It's just smooth and steady for them.
Gilead here, number 4, papaya colors. Bumps again. Catches another driver. He's
And
gonna.
those bumps are worse than the other curb that we've seen because those are taller. They'll shunt your car and shove it off to the side. And that's what we see happening there. That is one turn you cannot take the curbs. The other one you can kind of take the curb as long as you understand on the exit you can't lay in on the gas as early. But when you lay on the gas too early, even there you can see that car bounce. That means you have no downforce, and they laid on the gas too early. You can see they're flooring it to make sure that they don't drive away too fast. And yeah, it's just once again too much gas too early.
I'm sure the tires are gonna love that. Is now we're gonna see Mark come into the pits now, take some new tires after that spin. So let's see, you got Mark who just passed. Where did he go? Okay, so Rand's still up front. We'll jump back live, matter of fact, with Rand. 5.8 second gap now, really showing the work that he's put in toward Imola. And then Yossi, there's 10 seconds back behind Michael, so a little bit of gapage occurring now between our top three drivers. Oh, curb usage again.
So that's but you can see they didn't lay on that gas early, so they're able to recover. They were able to bring it around and then go forward. But when you take that curb, that means, of course, you're losing out on a lot of speed, and that's the thing with those curbs is the more you take them, especially the larger ones, you lose speed, and then of course slower exit out, less of a push through.
Let's stay on board with Yossi for a lap around Imola. You're just past the start-finish line. Going to come into the hard left-hander of turn 1. It's going to be a quick apex back. A little chicane action almost. Turns 2, turn 3 here. Going to have to get a good run off onto the stretch. Another quick chicane left. Right. Can't hit those bumps. Gonna have to focus on your exit again into another left-hander. This one a little bit slower, more sweeping. Another nice exit for Yossi. See why he's running P3 today. Comes down to the back, another left-hander. NASCAR guys would love this track. A little bit wide on exit. Here comes a right-hander downhill. And you said it best again, Nick. What I've noticed with Imola, you really have to set up one corner to set up the next. Take a look at this one. Same sort of concept.
Yeah, and they took a little too much curb there. You can see that the car shunted a little bit. They were able to recover it, but whenever we get these like helmet cams, take a look at the gear shifting that they do, because a lot of the times you want to hold a pretty steady gear through corners. As you can see, they're in 4th, and especially through these more technical portions of the track, you'll see them hold like 2nd or 3rd. You want to hold the highest gear you can without dropping too much speed. So that way, one, it reduces wear and tear on the gearbox, especially whenever you have these longer races and the gearbox has been used a lot. As you can see here, they're in 4th, holding 4th as they come out, and it allows them to carry more speed through this corner as they're back up into 5th. It's a high-speed technical corner that allows them to come through, and here's another one. They're able to hold it into 5th, but you can see, you can feel that back end sliding a little bit as they're losing traction because they're going too fast into that corner. And that's really where the the technicality of this track comes in, and the skill of these drivers, that they're able to carry these corners at that type of speed compared to the likes of the Silver League that ran earlier.
Speed, momentum, all stuff that you have to keep up while still nailing your entrance and exit points. These Super Formula Lights, really tough cars to get a handle on. See Nadav and Arnon going at it here for P4. Getting into that quick right-left chicane. Saw Nadav take a bit of the bumps, but maybe not aggressively as we've seen. Is now maybe going to make a move to the inside. Nope, going to think better of it. Drivers going at it here at Imola. Love it. Almost halfway to go. And down the front stretch in front of us in the press box. Gonna whiz by into turn 1. Are we gonna see a move made? There it is. Gonna use the slipstream to Nadav's advantage. He's gonna be on the
He's
outside.
taking the outside. There's the break.
Nice. Yeah, I was.
But look, it's already back.
Right back.
He's already back because Nadav had to take that outside line. They took a lot of speed into it. They had to brake really hard into the second portion. They didn't quite get that setup like we were talking about earlier into the second and third portion of that turn to really continue to have that speed. Arnon had a better line through and allowed them to punch past and open up this gap very, very wide over Nadav now.
Wow, you almost wonder if tire wear is starting to play a factor here, as that gap kind of opened itself pretty quickly between the two. Gilead here in 6th behind this pack, his McLaren colors. And then Yehuda in 7th after a little bit of an incident early on in the race. Nothing to his fault, but just couldn't avoid it. Sucks to see that, but running the respectable P7. Jor right behind him, running P8 in his. Yeah, another little bumblebee looking Super Formula light. Great shot there as he crests the hill in the back stretch. So Rand's still out front. What are you seeing with Rand's
they're just
racing
open.
lines,
It's almost 9 seconds. It is a very, very clean race by them. You can just see the skill that they have in this car here, that they're just comfortable on it. There's no issues with them in it. They're very comfortable. The technicality of it is not bothering them at all. And if anything, it's just, putting more time. There are up to 9 seconds between them and Michael, and it's just growing lap after lap after lap where no one's touching them unless they pit. And even if they pit, I'd be worried that depending on when Michael pits, if they would even lose a position.
Yeah, he's working to that big of a gap to where that could definitely be the case. We're starting to see a bit more racing between Nadav and Arnon as gap starts to close down once again. He'll use the slipstream down the straightaway, really be able to close the gap, and then into another quick left-hander. Trying to close that gap just a little bit more. He's definitely well within the slipstream range as they come down the front stretch. The nose cam only just about 20, maybe 25 car lengths ahead is Arnon Levi over Nadav Yaron. They go into turn 1, quick left, back to quick right. No bumps for either driver. Good job. It's so hard not to over push the car as you're trailing behind driver, especially battling for P4. You start getting some dirty air over the nose through these slower corners. Sure, it helps down the straightaway, but never want to have dirty air within the corners as the gap kinda, he's gonna close it down the straightaway a little bit more now. And Dav is really pushing Super Formula Light. I don't think we've seen the end of this battle just yet. Almost halfway.
Yeah, I mean, looking at what we have here, this is a really nice shot of the axle of Nadav here as they take this corner here, trying to catch up to the car in front of them. The feel of these racers feels more comfortable. They have that speed that you would typically see out of this kind of car compared to that of silver. And with the lap times that these racers are putting down, it's a second and a half more than that of the Silver Series, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you really put these cars side by side and these racers side by side and you had a gold versus a silver, it would be tremendous, especially over the course of a 40-minute race. So quite amazing to see here as we get a look at Yossi exiting the pits, probably grabbing some more some new tires to hopefully maybe, I say maybe with a huge asterisk, grab the fastest lap away from Ran here.
Yeah, Yossi entering the pits. I think we're going to see all of these drivers start to enter their cycle. Just now hit halfway now. If I was Ran, I would come down to the pits this next lap. It's halfway. You have that 10-second gap. Nothing really to worry about. Make sure you hit that pit speed limiter. You got to make sure that you hit that pit speed exit as well. Can't cross over that blue line too soon, as I'm sure all these drivers know. Rand's going to stay out here. We'll see who pits this lap. Looks like that's Ido in the pits now. Yep, Ido just came in, taking his service now in P12. Yossi hasn't cycled out to another spot just yet. Got Gilead in front of Yossi here. Yeah, you bring up an interesting point with those lap times. Some tracks we see a bit more speed disparity. I'm not sure, just less turns here, more straightaway, work with that draft. But I was expecting to see from at least earlier on in the league just a little bit more pace differential between silver and gold, but not quite seen too much of that yet, as now gaps are starting to form just a little bit. Brand just doesn't look like he's struggling at all, does he?
No, he's not at all. I mean, you can just see in the fluidity of his car, he's not, he's not taking a heavy curb. You can see he takes a little bit, but it's not enough to shunt the car. A lot of the other times you see these cars get shunted because they're taking too much of it. It's a light tap, and there's nothing of it. And you can just see how this car moves. It's just, he doesn't lose control of it at all. He has the same lap after lap after lap, and consistency breeds success in racing. The more consistent you can make your car go around the track, the more consistent your lap times will be, and it allows you to build upon that. It's a foundation at which you can really look to improve upon. The hardest part I've noticed for racers is getting that consistency, because there's always like, oh, I can do this better, and oh, I can do that better. But until you can lay down a consistent lap, you can't really build upon any of the other fundamentals that you need to do, because you don't know where you actually need to build them up at until you know what your consistent lap time is on a certain track.
For sure, you have to know where to push, where to hold it back just a little bit. Then as you start getting side by side, after you've gotten that stuff down, that just adds a whole nother aspect. That's why we all love motorsports, all love this sim racing experiences. Now we're going to see Nadav and Arnon still going at it 22 minutes into the race now.
And this is really the fight of the race here, between these two racers. They're wheel to wheel constantly, back to front in both sides. Sometimes one's in third, sometimes the other's in fourth. It doesn't matter, because they're both going for it. And these are just two top tier racers that are leaving it all out on the track for us as the viewers to enjoy. As we can see once again, Nadav getting up close, coming through that technical turn, and just time and time again, just some beautiful racing between these two.
Between the whole series, throughout the whole season. Again, thanks again for IiL, ILAKA Esports, and Tal Stern bringing me on aboard. This has been Stam Studio Network bringing you exclusive footage of pretty much the whole season. Get to see some nice battling going on, as we're going to see, is he going to do it? Nadav down the inside again. You said it best. Back and forth action between the two. Who's going to be out in the front after this
And
race is
this
over?
time, Nadav was able to get out to that outside to swing it back through that S, and was able to hold the speed that they wanted. There's a slight lockup, but nothing too crazy. So it might have just been a little bit of dust on the track. They were able to hold that speed to be able to hold that position of third. We saw it earlier when Nadav made the same move. They couldn't hold the speed. This time they were able to. They're able to hold the position, and now it looks like they might actually be starting to potentially push the gap between the two cars.
Just a little bit, kind of visually. Looks like that gap's expanding just a bit, but now they're going to get down the backstretch again. That'll close the gap just a little bit more, but yeah, you can kind of tell that Nadav's kind of looks like had it with the battling and wants to get away from him here. I know that these guys, lots of them are pretty good friends in real life. Could be a case of that going on, just having a good time with your buddy on track, or could be a little, not going to call it hard racing, it's great clean racing, but it's hard to tell when you don't know just the entire backstory and background between all these drivers. Great look at the gearbox out of Nadav, back onto Arnon. Our best battle on track, gonna come down to turn one, that hard left braking. Sweep it back towards the right, try to get that good exit off, and now IiDAN, a little bit further in the back of the pack. He's shunted it.
We'll have to see what happens. Lots of curb plus another lots of curb. Too much gas. Tires spin too quickly without any downforce once again.
That's a formula I can get behind and remember for school. I've had it with the variables. You know, just give me simple stuff. Tire spin plus, or diffuser plus plus inside outside curb. Not a good combo. Still, this battle
Pretty
for
much.
third and fourth heating up. Dav's not pulled away just yet. There's the turn that IiDAN just had his incident in. Drivers made it through that, no issues. Bit of curb contact on exit, but no harm, no foul. Omri driving up to 9th after starting P13. Good run for him so far, kind of hounding Drawer right in front of him. Good run, Omri. We see you in this final championship race for Gold Series. Good run. Oh, that's a IiL, so already a lap down. That's right in front of Omri. And then Michael Sherling going to make his way to the pits now. 5th, already got his work done. Going to make the exit. And keep an eye on this. You cannot pass this blue line. There it is. He's going to stay to the right. So that's another penalty that presents itself. You move over across the white solid line before that blue line presents itself. You will get a unsafe pit exit penalty. I don't think we'll see any of those in this Gold Series race, though. IiDAN again. See what turn this is into.
Good
Runs
sweeping
wide.
left and just took it out too far.
Mm-hmm.
Caught a little bit of the grass, it looked like, potentially, which, of course, there's no traction. Sends you right on out.
Got it kind of rolled off the racing line and then started back up off the racing line. So good job there, not really presenting any harm towards anybody else's race. Check out that gap now. Ran Nadav 20 seconds, Nick. My gosh, Arnon in the pits now.
Yeah, it's just going to keep growing. Michael, it looks like, did take a pit stop. That's why they dropped to 5th. And now Nadav putting down a 134.293 as their personal best of the day. Nothing is topping Ran and their fastest lap. I'd be curious about what the fastest lap is, if we can get those numbers.
For sure, 133.9 out of Ran.
So
And then
133.9, that is insane. That's
definitely,
2.5 seconds, almost 3 seconds faster than that of the Silver Series.
and I mean, 133.9, the next fastest lap going to Nadav at the 134.29. So, well, quite the gap between the two series, respectively so, as the I rating also between the two series is crazy. You're looking at a 4,000 I rating road driver, as looks like he's about to lap Mark Zubarev in front of him. So that's that I
Yeah, I
rating
mean,
going to work. I mean, my gosh.
yeah, that's just time in on the sim showing why they're in first. And something to be said, if you're wanting to get better, it's always just like anything, it's time. It always comes down to just time in the sim to get comfortable in whatever you want to be proficient in.
Be interesting to see how Mark, or I guess how Rand navigates the traffic of Mark in front of him with such a big race on the line. Wonder what either driver's going to do as they come down the backstretch of Imola now. Stick on board with Rand for just a little bit longer here. Look how quickly he's able to close that gap onto Mark too. That just shows the pace of Rand.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how does Mark just let him by, which I would assume should just happen. Mark's not really having a race against anybody. 10 seconds back from Omri. Should just let Rand by here, and there it is. They're taking that inside, slowing it up a little bit to make sure that Rand can get by with no issues. Maybe using a little bit of that slipstream potentially to pick up a few seconds to catch up to Omri, but still going to be a long way off. Of course, now they're a lap down. I think now the mini game is how many racers are going to get lapped by Rand, as instead, no, he dives into the pit lane very late. I mean, it's not going to really affect much. Nadav's 21 seconds back. I wouldn't think that would change too much as we take a look at this.
Yeah, have to keep an eye. Gotta come into his box now. You see him get lifted up, take his service. Gonna be 4 tires full of fuel. Nadav now to 10 seconds. Oh, now, okay, there's Nadav on the right side of your screen. Now pass him now. But then this is only for the time being because Nadav's still going to have to come down and pit for fuel as well. Gilead into the pits from P3.
Yeah, they really pushed these cars as long as they could, trying to build up those gaps as much as possible. But we're going to see here pretty quickly, I would assume, once Rand gets up to speed, that Nadav is going to lose time.
Oh, I would imagine so. The pace with Rand is outstanding.
You can see it got up to 6.2. It's hovering at about 6.2 right now. But Rand is going to start to, once these tires warm up.
For sure.
Racing on cold tires is never easy. Once they warm up, it's going to be another blistering lightning bolt to the finish from them.
How about this? Mark in P10. He's going to have a bit of an incident. I'm just on board with him just a little bit ago. Let's see what happens. Bumpy bumpies.
With the back tire.
Again, I wonder just how many drivers have been in curb causing accidents today, or just incidents in general. Idan going to make his way to the pits. Rand running P2, now 6.7 back as his tires continue to get up to temperature. Michael Sherling 22 seconds back from Rand. Yossi only 4 seconds back from Michael. Not the end of his day, as now Nadav's going to dive to the pits.
Yep. Which means that time is just going to shoot up for Rand in first place here. It'll be interesting to see where they end up with Nadav in second. That's a good pickup for them. I think they're going to be able to hold second, as no, Michael actually passes Nadav there, has about a 2-second lead. Did they both dive into the pits, or was Michael just out? They dove in earlier. So they're back in second. Nadav's in third. with a 3-second gap between those two. Yassi's in fourth with a second gap to that of Nadav. These are close timings behind that of Ran in first place.
Definitely so. As we take a look at the pit stop lap comparison, Michael Sherling already in and out of the pits, so this is an official P2 running for him. You see Nadav just pit this lap, so not showing him pit yet. And then Yossi, a little bit of a different strategy from everybody else. Pit lap 12. Be interesting to see if he can make it to the end of this gold championship race at Imola. Only just about 5 minutes to go, so shouldn't be asking too terribly much of the fuel tank. So he's trying to hound Nadav for that P3 spot.
Yeah, they're putting in good work. All of these racers are. As Izan gets lapped once again, is now 2 laps down after diving into the pits again. So unfortunate time for them, as we're nearing the last few minutes of this race. And as we get there, it really has come down to, this was the Ran show all day long. Well, I say all day long, these past 40-ish minutes, that once the race ends, just because of how clean of a race they've had. The gap that they've had to Michael has never dipped, except for when they've had to pit. So really well run race by them, as long as, nothing happens where they get, I wouldn't expect anything to happen with how they're racing. And then for Arnon and Nadav has finally won out over that after a really good battle for fourth position, where Arnon unfortunately lost out on it, but just really good battles throughout the lineup that we've been able to see today.
See Arnon really try and give it all he can through that sweeping left corner. Gonna sweep right now to another right. Again, setting up these corners is so crucial, trying to get your car slowed down to that, well, I would say desired speed, but no, the speed that you have to run into the corners. So you can't run too fast, can't run too much curbage. Your car will loop around, as we've seen plenty of times today, even within the Gold Series. Pretty surprising, but man, Nick, you bring up Ran. He's stretching that gap again now. Ran has been so impressive again this race, but the whole season as well. Some incidents that just weren't his fault, gotten taken out really early and unable to get the points that he deserved at some tracks, but that doesn't even matter at this point. Is now 3 minutes to go, 17 minutes. Can't give him the broadcaster's curse just yet, hopefully not, but I would imagine that this championship is getting really close to being official for Ran, this IiL, ILAKA Esports Automotive and Karting Association.
Yeah, and they've done, they've put on an amazing season for us here as the viewers, and for everything on broadcast. It's been an amazing time, as we're nearing down to the final few minutes, and it's going to be kind of sad to not have this going on anymore. I hope there's another one coming up soon, because this is some excellent racing that we've been having the pleasure to watch between these racers, as there is still battles happening across this racetrack. There's still 2 seconds between, the gap between second and fourth is 4 seconds total. That's insane with how long this race has been. For them to be 4 seconds between second and fourth just shows how high of a quality these racers are, and how, they're just leaving everything out on the track.
Exactly, man. After 40 minutes, still seeing gaps 2 seconds. That's pretty impressive from these drivers, as again, this not easy. Take a Super Formula Light around Imola, let alone again 40 minutes, throw in a pit stop in there as well. Lots and lots of driver inputs, lots and lots of driver, really, what would you call, just talent. is being showed
Yeah.
on display. Gilead here running a bit wide is racing, especially these open wheels. They can really exhaust you pretty quickly mentally. Also physically trying to pound these cars in, but yeah, mentally, man, nailing these exits, nailing the throttle inputs, brake inputs, steering inputs that you need to. Again, let alone going side by side with some of your best friends. It can take a lot out of you pretty quickly. As now we're going to see Ran take the, oh, this will be close. Is this going to be the white or the checkered? Oh, with just 5 seconds. Now, this will be the white flag. Ran will come to the checkered next time by to make this all official. Only 4.9 kilometer track, so yeah, pretty fairly big track. A lot can happen still, but I wouldn't. I don't see. I just don't see it happening. Ran to
I mean,
Sony.
he's coming up once again to some of these back markers for these cars and potentially lapping them on this final lap once again because of the speed that he has. And unfortunately for IiL, finishing in 12th today means that they are not going to have a shot at grabbing first from Ran, as Ran has just run a beautiful race. And IiL just had some unfortunate luck at the beginning that set them back too far for them to overcome.
Him gaining slightly, I believe that's Mark Zubarev right there in front of him. We've seen Mark already abide to racecraft. Gonna pull off to the side, slow down just a little bit, but it's coming down to just under half the track left to go now. Ran, this has been special. This has been quite an event to watch throughout the whole season. Is now Mark's going to give him the point by. Coming to the last turn now. This will make it official. Ran, your Gold Series IiL, ILAKA Esports Champion. Congratulations, Ran.
Congratulations are due indeed, as what an amazing run in the final race, never once dropping to second, except for that slight pit stop thing that really doesn't count because they were effectively first. Just overall, an amazing race run by them to finish this off, to get first place. Huge props to them as they have taken first in the Gold Series to be crowned this season's winner. I mean, just huge props to them.
Time, effort, patience, it all has paid off. As now Ran once again will make it official. Your champion of the Gold Series in IiL, ILAKA Esports. Once again, I appreciate you for bringing Stam Studio Network on board. We're going to see Nadav finish P2. Yossi is going to bring it in P3. That's going to help him within the championship points. Arnon Levi will bring it home 4th. Gilead here 5th. Michael Sherling will bring it home 6th. Let's see, Omri Farag will finish 7th. Yehuda Ben Yosef, wow, drove up to 8th after his starting incidents. Not his fault by any means there. Dror Last coming in 9th. Mark Zubarev 10th. Ido B 11th. Ayeli, you mentioned it earlier, that 12th. And then Idan Sher, unfortunately, coming on P13, the championship race. But, man, once again, congratulations, Ran. It's been special to watch this all take place as the season's kind of continued on. You going against your buddies side by side. Alon Day, unfortunately, not make it here out to this race. But, wow, that's Nick, you jumping on board here at the last race of the season after doing another race with us earlier. You can totally see the speed difference between the two series and even Ran that he had on the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a great driver, great series, and some overall just great racing indeed, as we can see the donuts being put out by Ran, as they are well-deserved donuts indeed.
Take a look at our final standings, unless this is practice once again. Yeah, that's practice, so 1 second. We'll take a look at the actual race results here. Brought to you by the one, the only Stam Studio Network, if we can get them. I've already gone through them once, so might as well. Okay, yeah. Ran, Nadav, Yossi, that top three. Arnon, Gilead, Michael Sherling, that top six. Omri Farag, Yehuda Ben Yosef, Jor Last, Mark Zubarev, that top 10. And then Ido B, Ayeli K, and then Idan Shur. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you for everybody who's joined us in the YouTube chat section as well, just watching in general. We cross-streamed over on the IiL channel this time as well, so appreciate you joining us there. Nick, any last sort of comments you'd like to make to our viewers, our racers, our loyal fans at Stam Studio Network?
Thank you to everybody coming out. Thank you, Sean, for having me. And I can't wait to get in the booth once again to see some more absolutely amazing racing that has been brought out.
For sure, man. We're happy to have you. We'll bring you back up here shortly. As well, my schedule continues to fill up. Hopefully, Tal secures his spot with another season of this IiL racing series, Super Formula Lights. It's been Stam Studio Network out here in Imola, Italy. We're going to get on the plane, get headed back home. Appreciate everybody for, even the drivers, man. You guys have really put it out here this whole season. Nice, clean racing. Tal Stern. We got Lewis Mason. You ain't got no... Yeah, Lewis, I see you there, man. I see you in the live chat. Again, Tal, appreciate you bringing us on aboard. We're going to get out of here, catch our flights home. It's been Sean and Nick, Stam Studio Network, coming at you live from Imola.